we shouldn't be pleading or persuading people to see things for what they are. We know what this system is, and we know what it's capable of. But if you're watching this, listening or tuning in, I just want you to know that your life has value, so much value, that they're trying so hard to make you feel otherwise. My life has value. My life had value before I played for the Celtics, and it will long after. At some point, you realize what you're dealing with. The power has and always will be with the people. You got to stand up and fight. What other solution do we have? That's really all I got.
Really, really, really powerful. Welcome back to The Jump. I'm Rachel Nichols, still here with Richard Jefferson, Matt Barnes. We are now joined by Chiney Ogwumike, and the comments we just heard from Jaylen Brown were, of course, reacting to the events that occurred in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota on Sunday. Daunte Wright, a black man, 20 years old, a father, was shot and killed by police during a traffic stop after the Timberwolves postponed their game Monday. The game with the Nets was played on Tuesday. Both teams wore Justice and Liberty and then capitalized "For All" T-shirts during warm-ups. There was a moment of silence before tip-off for Daunte Wright. Authorities said that the officer who shot Wright was arrested today and will be charged with second-degree manslaughter. Here is Kevin Durant after the game.
At this point, you just really don't understand what's going on around here. You know, it's different stories every single day about families' lives getting altered because of police brutality. And I mean, at this point, I really don't know what to say.
Chiney, I feel like we've had these conversations way too many times, decade after decade, year after year, month after month, and now week after week. What is your reaction to the events in Minnesota and how the league has handled everything so far?
Well, I think, Rach, that there are two things that are happening right now. At first, as you mentioned, we saw a swift decision to postpone by the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Twins and even the Wild as well. Leagues are now understanding the gravity of these issues that the world presented back in 2020, and the athletes did not have to plea at the podium for the decision to be made. And finally, that's a step in the right direction of respecting the urgency of what is happening in Minnesota and what continues to happen that we see transpiring on the news. Now, the second part is, now people may understand that this is truly a marathon and not a sprint. This is not an isolated incident or one or two names that we discovered last summer. This is a day-to-day reality for communities that these athletes represent. And the fact that this Minnesota community has not even found closure with George Floyd since the trial is ongoing and is once again thrust into another horrible situation with Daunte Wright, it's absolutely heartbreaking. And that's why you saw over the course of 2020, when leagues were trying to be established and get back to seasons, social justice councils being established by sports leagues, because these problems are on the hearts and minds of athletes, and it will take a team effort to use the collective platform that the game presents to help their communities. So this is why when we see, Jaylen Brown and Kevin Durant at media availability, why it's been shifted once again to these issues, because these problems are not solved overnight and there's too much at stake. That is the why.
And what's so crazy is like Sterling Brown. So this is not just in a certain community. If you remember, it was, I think, 4 years ago where Sterling Brown, his brother played in the NBA. He's playing for the Milwaukee Bucks, and he is sitting out in front of a CVS just kind of waiting to go in. Cops pull up on him. They take him out of his car. They arrest him, not guilty of anything, but just like double parking. He parked in the wrong parking spot, and they take him out.
That apparently gets you thrown on the ground and tased.
And on top of it, he didn't resist arrest. He won the civil suit. So before you start asking questions, he actually won the civil suit against the Milwaukee Police Department. So this is what I'm saying. It's like, it could be Matt Barnes. It could be me. It could be Chiney. This is not just, in these communities. We've had NBA players be taken out of their car for parking in the wrong spot, and they're like, you know who I am type stuff. Is like, no, we know who you are. You are an African-American male that is parked in the wrong spot, and we're going to do what we want, because there's very few times that there are repercussions.
Our success doesn't limit us from our skin color. We still face this stuff. I had a situation when I played with the Lakers in Manhattan Beach where I was pulled over by the same cop 4 times within 6 weeks, just harassing me. But if you think about it, policing was built, they started policing by slave wrangling. That's how policing was started. So anything that's built on a foundation of hate and bias and bigotry, you see it's finally starting to really show its head. But for us, it's been showing our heads our whole life. And I think I'm glad that the sports leagues are starting to realize the magnitude of this problem. But we still do have to beg and plead for the rest of the country to kind of understand when we're talking about, oh, you want to bring everything, you want to bring color into everything. Color plays a huge part in a lot of different things in our day-to-day life, and police brutality is definitely number one.
By the way, no one's bringing this in. No, there's no professional athlete who's bringing race into anything. There's other people bringing race into everything, and they're the ones that have to deal with it. It is not on the shoulders of people being oppressed to be the ones to have to solve the oppression. It's mind-boggling how many times we have to have that conversation. I do think the actions of the NBA, the WNBA, Shanae, athletes all around this country over this last year are part of what has seen things make at least a small shift.
Yep. That
the officer resigned pretty much immediately and now at least has been charged. How long have we been waiting for officers to be charged? In so many other cases, we are still waiting. Hopefully, maybe those days come as well.